Hello, I'm William Brougham, Kensington 25, and welcome to Sydney. I thought we'd keep this video quite topical. A few of you who may watch the ABC here in Australia may know a show called Q&A. It's a political panel show, and I happened to be on it on Monday. I really enjoyed the experience, and my question was about Ian Thorpe, who, as you may know, is an Australian champion swimmer who came out in an interview with Michael Parkinson at the weekend. Now, before we go there, let me just tell you, St. Fletcher, my good friend, is filming, so there is somebody behind the camera if you were wondering. But without digressing, I was on the television show and I was asked to ask a question. And my question was, to paraphrase, is it anybody else's business that somebody is gay, or do people, particularly in the public eye, have a duty to come out to make it easier for other people to come out themselves and break the boundaries of homophobia? People in the audience included Philip Ruddock, who's a senior Australian Liberal politician, Tanya Plibersek, who is a Labour politician, senior in her party, and Tanya Major, who is an Indigenous rights activist. And there were also two other panellists. There was a comedian, TV presenter, and also a principal of one of Australia's better-known private schools. I think it was a private school anyway.
King's College.
King's College. So they were there and they answered my question, and then I came back with my response, which is that it's nobody's business, but when people do come out, I think it can help others and break those taboos and boundaries of coming out. So there is a benefit, but at the same time, I also believe, as I said, it is nobody's business, but I look forward to a day when it is no longer front page news, when it is no longer a big deal, where coming out is just an everyday thing and it doesn't have to happen. At the same time, people don't have to feel pressured to stay in the closet or pressured to come out, and where there's no more speculation about people's sexuality, because there are people who may not have a label. There are other people who may consider themselves gay, bisexual, lesbian, polysexual, asexual, and I think we should respect those labels, or whatever you identify with or don't identify with. I think the panel reacted well. On Twitter I followed the discussion. It was very supportive. Most people seem to agree it shouldn't be a news story, which is ironic considering that I did bring it up on national TV. But for me, the story isn't Ian Thorpe. It's the bigger issue about coming out, why it is still front page news, does it help others, and what can we learn from this? So it's an issue worth discussing without actually referring individually or specifically to Ian Thorpe. Now, with me is St. Fletcher, and I thought I'd ask him his view too.
G'day, it's Fletcher here. How are you? Yeah, I actually saw you on the television, William, and I was really surprised to see William on Q&A. It's fantastic, and we had discussed this before on Facebook and the phone about this very issue, and I tend to agree, especially not so much in public life, but in a professional position like school teaching. There are situations when you cannot present yourself as a gay person first. You are a professional person first, especially in a classroom. You are a teacher. That's all they need to know. In terms of sexuality or anything like that, it's none of their business. And in this day and age, it is so important that it is clear that it's none of their business, because things can be so misconstrued so easily. And so from that point of view, the whole framework of the sensational things of no, you have to come out sort of thing, and some of my peers saying in the schools, look Fletcher, if you're gay, we all want to know, we all want you to go up on stage and Mr. G. No, I never buckled into that, because it's just absolute rubbish. My response to that is, do you want me to go up on stage and da-da, I'm heterosexual? No, that's actually quite discriminatory and it's quite demeaning, I think. And that's my story. And so I kind of relate to this whole framework thing of sensationalism and the ridiculous side to the whole thing. With what Ian Thorpe has had to say, it's entirely up to him it should have no reflection on how people see him at all. I can see what you're saying. The whole framework really has nothing to do with Ian Thorpe. It has to do with how people are responding and reacting and behaving as a response to this.
I agree with that. I'll just add a little something. I watched the interview because I was going to be on Q&A, and the interview, the majority of the interview, wasn't about his sexuality. It was about his swimming career. It was about his work with Aboriginal youth, Indigenous youth. It was about his drug problems, his depression, and his feelings about suicide. Yet all the hooks and trailers for the interview were that question about his sexuality. What about all the other things in his life, particularly his achievements, other issues such as depression and drugs? Is he also not brave for trying to tackle those, brave for discussing them? Yet the speculation beforehand and the discussion has focused on one man's sexuality. It shouldn't just define him. He shouldn't just be reduced to his sexuality. Ian Thorpe, like all of us, is multifaceted. We're multidimensional. We have many sides to our personality, and I'd like that to be recognised, not just in Ian, but in all of us. So in conclusion, I'm William Brougham, here in Sydney. Thanks for listening, and thanks for all your support. I'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.
Thanks, Ian. And thanks, William.
Thank you, and thanks, Ian. Talk to you later.